So when you get on Foundry, you should be able to open. You probably have just observer privilege for, it'll say Luke's manservant character. Can you open that character sheet?
Oh, yep. I can. Yeah, I was able to select it as my character too. Yep,
Perfect.
there it is.
So then on in the journals, there should be under the Vaesen core game, there should be 3 chapters that I made observable: the your player character, skills, and talents, and that's what we'll use to make your character. And there's a chart on the your player character. It's like the almost the first page. It's under personality. There's a little, or not a chart. There's 12 steps. So the first step is to choose an archetype, and this would be like your class in Dungeons and Dragons or your profession in Dragonbane. So your archetype, you've got academic, doctor, hunter, occultist, officer, priest, private detective, servant, vagabond, or writer. I think if you're wanting to do Lord Montgomery's servant, is that kind of what you're thinking?
Yeah, yeah, that was it.
Yeah, let's do servant then. I'll put that into your character sheet. Perfect. So if we go to servant, there's some options. So that's in the your player character. It's part 12. It'll say servant, and it's got like trauma, dark secret. Some possible traumas where you were bitten by a brook horse, which is a Vaesen. You lost a previous master to the alluring song of the neck, or you served a household plagued by a changeling. Which, if you want to play Teat from the Song of the Falling Star, that's what happened with Teat. He was in the household plagued by a changeling. Do any of those sound good, or you're welcome to come up with your own? And then you'll also need a
Yeah,
motivation and a dark secret, and there's some samples there, but you can definitely choose what you like.
yeah. There's some good ones there. I like for this character. I definitely protecting my master would be the motivation. You know, he's getting on in his
Yeah.
years.
So let's put that in motivation. Okay. How about for trauma or dark secret? Do you have any ideas there? We can always come back to these if you're not sure yet. And you can change these
Um,
before the campaign starts if you need to.
yeah, yeah. That's a good point. I might. I would probably pick the one where he lost his master. I like that gives you like some motivations to
Yeah.
I'll do right this time. I don't know what the song of the neck is though.
Well, we'll find out, maybe.
Oh, okay, good to know.
Lost the previous master to the alluring song of the neck. What about a dark secret?
Yeah, those are good ones. In another type of character, I'd probably pick spying for a foreign power, but I don't think that
No.
he's a loyal servant,
Right.
but that would be fun, is all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, and it could be. I mean, no one expects the butler. Of course, actually, everyone says the butler did it, but no one would expect that the butler's going to be a spy.
Yeah, yeah, and he's just it's true. They're like the one person you want to be loyal. Anyways, I think I'd like the murdered
Yeah, I
past.
murdered someone.
Yeah, yeah. This he's a tough guy. I think this servant.
Nice. And then your there's a couple things, talents that you can choose from. You can choose loyal, robust, or tough as nails, and that should be in the journal under talents, under archetype talents, and you can look under servant, and it will kind of say what they are. So loyal, you get +2 on fear tests in the presence of someone you're sworn to protect. Tough as nails is you gain +2 to force when you're fighting unarmed. And robust is you may ignore penalties for physical conditions on 1 roll per gaming session.
Oh, interesting. I think I'd like to go with the loyal.
I think loyal would be a great one. Let's drop loyal on there. And yep, you've got loyal on there. Perfect. And then let's look at for equipment. You can choose. Well, you get a revolver. You can also choose between a hurricane lamp or makeup, and then a field kitchen or simple bandages. So, would you have a lamp, or would you have makeup to touch up Lord Montgomery's features?
Ooh, as I recall, he was actually quite a social guy, Lord Montgomery.
Yes.
Hmm. The lamp sounds more practical, but I think the makeup
The
is more
makeup,
fun.
nice.
Yeah.
I love it. And so that will, you could use that on a manipulation roll. It would also be great if you needed to like help someone to disguise themselves. Maybe you have a little kit with like fake mustaches or something.
Oh, I love the sound of that. Yeah.
And then would you choose a field kitchen so you could make his tea if you're out in the woods, or would you choose simple bandages?
Yeah, a field kitchen.
Excellent.
Lord Montgomery wants it on the go, of course.
Right. So then you can, when you cook, you get a +2 bonus on that, and you can use your inspiration skill to do your cooking. So let's go back to the list. We've kind of jumped ahead, so we need to choose an age. So you can be, it's kind of like Dragonbane. You can be young, middle-aged adult, or you can be old. And the younger you are, you have more points for your attributes, but fewer for your skills. Middle-aged is kind of middle of the road, and then old, you have fewer attribute points but more skills.
Right. Yeah, this is always the hardest choice for me when I'm I mean, when I'm making a character and thinking about stats, of course.
Well,
I think it's
do you picture him being an older servant, or is he below 50, or is he older than 50?
yeah, no, I was gonna say I kind of see him as like an adult but middle aged.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of up there, but not young enough to be able to look after the Lord.
So maybe like 40 or early 40s.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds
Let's
perfect.
say 42. That's always a good number. And then we'll get to name last. So now we'll do the attribute points. So you have 14 attribute points to spread amongst um, your your attributes. Your let's see, is this under skills? Where is this? Um, no, it's gonna still be under your player character. Let's get back to that. Characteristics. There we go. So there's 4 attributes which indicate kind of what you're good at: physique, precision, logic, and empathy. Each of these will have a value between 2 and 5, and then you can distribute the points according to your age between your abilities. So the minimum in physique, logic, precision, and empathy will be 2. The maximum is 4, except for as a servant, your main attribute is physique. So your physique you could set up to 5. So let's at least put 2 in each of these because it has to be at least 2. And then based on your age, you have 14 points, and you've used up 8. So you've got 6 more points you can dump into physique, precision, logic, and empathy.
Interesting. Yeah.
And
Okay.
physique could go up to 5.
Yeah. This is. I'm trying to think. I do want him to be like a pretty like a useful butler, not just like I don't think I'm gonna do 5 physique. He's not like a meathead, but
Right, right.
I will definitely put physique at 4.
And I could see maybe empathy being up. That would have your inspiration. That would be like you're making tea, also your observation, or maybe like learning and vigilance. I think maybe those skills might be more useful. Let's put physique up to 4. So you've got 4 more points. So you could do logic and empathy at 4.
Yeah.
Or you could do one of those 3, one of them 4, and then bump precision up 1.
Yeah. I think I would put empathy at 4 to be sure.
Okay. So you got 2 more points.
Yeah. I think I'll put 1 in both logic and precision.
Perfect. All right, and then skill points, you have 12, and I think that is what we're at next. Yeah, distribute points to skills and your resources according to your age. So your skills, you cannot have more than 2 in any skill except for the main skill of your chosen archetype, which can have 3, and your main skill is force. So force could have 3, everything else can only have a 2 in there. And you've got, I think we said 12 points.
All right. Yeah, that's there's so many good skills. Um, yeah, definitely I'd put Force at 3 to be sure.
Okay.
He's a tough guy.
Oh yeah. So force
So
is
that's
3.
9.
Yep, you got 9 points left.
I'll put 2 in agility.
Okay.
Um, and I'll put 1 in close combat.
Okay.
And I think that gives me 6 left.
Yes.
Bad at math.
Yep.
Okay, nice. All right, so I'll say 2 inspiration.
Okay.
Um, 2 vigilance. That's a useful one.
I like that one. So 2 more points.
Yeah, that's tough. I'll put 1, or it's hard. I was gonna say 1 in medicine and 1 in ranged combat, but maybe I'll just put 2 in ranged combat.
Okay.
He does have a revolver.
And you did murder someone, so you do have some. You know your way around a pistol.
He's got a bit of a pass,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Now let's see. Resources is next, and your resources. Let's see. For a servant is between 2 and 4. Typically, you'll start at 2, and then you can bump that up. I think it costs you like one of those skill points. I don't know that you need a lot of money. You have a wealthy master that kind of pays for everything.
Yeah, he's wealthy. I'm sure he pays well, but I like to think I probably live with him, so a lot of my expenses are just paid for by living with him.
Yeah.
But maybe that's also up to him. We should probably talk about that.
And then the last thing is to roll for a memento. So let's pull that up. So just going back to make sure we've got it for resources. So normally you start with the lower value for your archetype. It can be raised by spending skill points. So you're 2, which means you're poor. You live very simply. Most days there's food on the table, but far too little. But you would eat, with your master. He would pay for all that. You might have a change of clothes and a few possessions, but again, you don't really need to buy your stuff. You probably wear the clothes that he buys you to wear. Let's get to your memento. So if you want, you can roll 2 6-sided dice, and there's a table, and we can check that, or you can just choose one if you want. If you see where it's at, it's under miscellaneous and equipment and mementos in the chapter 2.
Oh, okay, I see. So wait,
like a dried red rose, photo of something close to you. So when you roll 2d6, the first die is the first place, and the second die is the second number. Or if it will let you, like it says mementos, and then you can click on where it says mementos beneath that, I think that will roll for you.
It says I don't have the permission, so I will just do the 2d6.
Perfect. So let's see.
A 1 and a 6.
First die was a 6. Second die was a 1. 61 is a powder compact with sleeping pills. Ooh, is that how you killed someone?
Whoa!
Nice.
That's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Got some sleeping pills. All right, let's put that on there. Do you want it to be a little powder compact, like for makeup, or do you want a cigarette case with some sleeping pills?
Oh, I like the idea that he's got it in with his makeup.
Nice.
Not marked. That's probably pretty hazardous. Hopefully nobody tries to rob his makeup drawer or whatever, but
yeah, maybe like one side is like face powder, the other side is like crushed up sleeping pills that you could slip into a drink.
Yeah, that sounds pretty shifty.
Already your character is like taking on a dark turn. I like that. So, fantastic. That's about it. We've got the talents, we've got the gear. Yeah, that's pretty much it. We just need a name for Luke's manservant.
Right, yeah. So I've had the first name. I knew it already. If I'm doing a butler, I might as well just go all in and name him Nigel.
Oh, nice.
And what's the, English?
Nigel Fairfax or Nigel Fairweather or...
Pritchard. How about that?
Ooh,
Nigel Pritchard.
again so that it will say Nigel Pritchard. Otherwise, it's going to say Luke's manservant. Nigel Pritchard. Luke actor data. Friendly. Excellent. Now let me give you full ownership. There. Now, if you need to make changes to Nigel, you can. And then at some point, we'll just get some artwork and put some artwork on there. But otherwise, that's done. That's all it took. That was 15 minutes. So not too bad.
Yeah. Wow. It felt complicated reading the core, but I feel like now that you've like led me through it, like having done it, I could definitely see how it's a little easier than I thought.
Oh yeah, yeah. And a lot of it is just because it's different from most characters that you may have created. But once you you follow the steps, and a lot of it's just drag and drop from what it says for your character, and then you just have to. The hard part's just the physique and the skills. Just how do you allocate those points? But awesome. And then I'm going to start you with or actually I need to calculate and see. I think it was 4 experience we got from the last session. I'll figure that out from, if you want to carry it over from the Song of the Falling Star.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You can use that towards building skills. I'll have to look and see what, let's see. I got Lord Montgomery here. I think he took a talent. I think he did. I'll have to... Let's see, did Tina? She may have taken a talent. I think she took a talent as well. I'll have to go back and watch and see. I think it was 4 or 5, and I'll find out, and then I'll get that added on there. But then if you want to get some artwork, you'll be all set.
Yeah, I'll probably do that right now.
Perfect. Any questions about the character or just the character creation in general? So if you need to make another character, would you feel confident that you could do it yourself?
Yeah, well, like that's what I was trying to say earlier. It's like now that you've walked me through it, I'm like, oh, okay, this is pretty straightforward. I definitely feel like I could do it again. Although having it on Foundry is definitely helpful.
Yeah, super easy because I'm not having to type in everything. I just drag and drop most of the things. Makes it easy. So
yeah, but no questions.
Excellent. All right. Well, thanks for hopping on. And if you ever want to go back and watch this, I recorded it because I record everything like Big Brother. So I can post this, and that way, if you ever need to go back and see how did we come up with that, you'll know.
Yeah, please. I'd appreciate that. I said a few things about the character that were quite interesting sounding that I'd like to remember.
Yeah, absolutely. So I figure that's the best way. And then before the game starts, if you want to change like your trauma, your dark secret, your anything like that, your motivation, just feel free to make those changes, and you can do them privately so that no one else knows, or you can keep it as it is. I'll leave that up to you.